When an artist dreams, it's unlike any other dream. Dreams are defined by a succession of images, thoughts, or emotions passing through the mind as a person sleeps. Yet, when an artist dreams, he or she is wide awake, experiencing emotions, designing images, and giving birth to a work of art that the world has never seen. Their canvases are windows of endless opportunities. Many artists draw inspiration from their surroundings. It gives life to their creative strands as they begin to form. For the past 14 years, Chetwynd, BC has been giving artists a chance to carve their dreams. Artists come from all over the world in June and leave us with stunning sculptures.
When we came here, we looked at the trees. I mean, wood was important. My dad had a little bush sawmill, and that's how he scraped out his really a precarious living. But that's the living that he provided for us. And when we looked at a tree, like some of these trees, Dad would look at them and estimate so many trees to the 1,000 board feet of lumber. We don't do it in board feet anymore, we do it in meters, but we'd look at a stand of spruce trees and say, 2.5 trees to the 1,000, that's good. So the thought was on lumber. Lumber to build their cabins, lumber to build their fences, lumber to build their barns. They didn't think of anything else in the tree. Oh yes, they did, firewood. Firewood was very important, but like these green trees around us here, that wasn't firewood, that was lumberwood. And then as the community matured, we started to think of other things. We think of, is there more than just lumber in that tree? And this is how Chetwynd became, or got started in chainsaw art, chainsaw sculpturing. We'd invite some of the best chainsaw sculptors, chainsaw artists in the world to come to Chetwynd. I suppose any town could say, well, we're special too, but looking at Chetwynd, I think I'm going to have to say that Chetwynd's sense of volunteerism, because you can't put on a display like we do every year without huge participation by volunteers. It starts with the sponsors. It costs $100,000 or more to put on that competition every year. So we need sponsors. And the District of Chetwynd is a major sponsor. But we need others, industrial sponsors and commercial sponsors and ordinary people sponsors.
Wood plays a vital role in this town. It's ingrained everywhere you look. You see it in the economy. it blends in perfectly with the architecture. And it enhances the well-being of this place. There are many factors behind this competition that the untrained eye may not see. The variety and caliber of the carvings, for example, is not an accident. No, it's intentional. While other competitions may have themes or guidelines of what can or can't be carved, here, it's quite the opposite. Carvers are given the chance to fantasize with their ideas and carve what they ultimately desire.
Instead of just going and carving something and selling it at auction, these carvings stay in the community. And plus we ask them to carve something that's special to them. And so we ask them to write it up and plan. You get a better carving, plus they feel better about their carving.
Well, Chetwynd for me is like a dream come true. About 5 years ago I watched this on YouTube and Facebook and the likes, and I was just blown away by the level of the carving that was here. And I said to my daughter and son, you know, imagine someday to get to that place, you know, and maybe just see the stuff. Like, so to be here now is like, you know, it's just kind of dreams come true in a way. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to try to do a really good piece, you know. So it means a lot.
I think why Chetwynd is so sought after by carvers, it's an invitation only competition, and they come here and they're allowed to carve what they want. So they can give us their best carving of what they want to do. Plus the wood is incredibly, it's just amazing old cedar. And I think in Europe, if you get invited to Chetwynd, it's a really big win. Here, even Canadians want to come. So Chetwynd's really made themselves a show that everyone wants to come to. And I think in large, we got to thank the community and the sponsors.
I've been to, quite a few competitions, but it's in the top. I mean, there's probably like, 3 or 4 competitions in the world that carvers consider to be the top competitions that they want to hit, and Chetwynd is definitely at the top of the list. I would say it's probably in the top 3, one of the top 3. I don't know, the carvers might tell you like which one they like better or not, but I would say that Chetwynd is always one that comes up in the top 3 competitions in the world.
Even though many of us can have visions, it's fair to say that only the artistically gifted make those thoughts a reality with a sense of awe and wonder.
Hey, watch this guy. Hey, they said I won last year. They forgot about you already.
What do you think with this log that you see?
What I'm going to be doing is there'll be an eagle in flight coming down, attached to a little stem coming off his leg that'll be supporting him. He'll be going after a rabbit, and there'll be a wolf coming after the rabbit also.
He had a vision before.
Tiesiog ištraukiau patį stipriausią medį, bet man geriau tinka šis, nes jis yra apvalus, o pats stipriausias medis yra garbanotas.
At first he got another tree, but it was a bit too big and had like a wavy surface, and he needed, more it to be more like even and more like round.
doing something a little bit different, combining some kind of elements that I typically carve by themselves and trying to create a kind of a cohesive composition. So I've got an eagle skull kind of on a box kind of plinth, holding kind of an abstract water feature, and then a salmon kind of jumping out of the water feature. Then I'm going to add some kind of stylized designs onto it. This is the first piece where I've taken the log and kind of broken it down like that. So that's new for me. I had another idea for a piece, but it required a bigger log, so this was kind of my second choice. But yeah, it's fun because and I think the other thing is that I don't have a helper, so they're into manageable sized chunks now, so I can lift them around. They're getting lighter with each cut. So. I find that water is a big, kind of a big influencer in my life, and so it's a real kind of tribute to that. Yeah, all of those things have, obviously the water has something to do with water, but the eagles rely on the salmon that come up in the rivers and ocean around us. Yeah, so that's kind of where the influence comes from.
I'm doing a piece, it's going to be titled Roots and Wings. It's kind of a dedication to my father who passed. I was invited here last year and couldn't make it because Dad was sick. So he ended up passing in September, so it's a dedication to him. Of course, with my piece, you know, Roots and Wings, I've got a big soaring eagle on one side, on the back side I'm doing a tree, and then carving the roots down at the bottom. I got a nice little saying. So there's going to be a little bit of routering that I don't normally use. You know, normally it's mostly chainsaw, so I'll use the router to put a verse down on the base of the carving. And then also I'm going to carve the skeleton of the tree, if you would, and then I'm going to add on the little leaves. So I've got several leaves I got to cut out and fix and put on. So yeah, so that's something that I don't normally do.
So if you look at Jason Emmons' carving, it's a very heartfelt carving. He is, what you see in that tree is how he is with his own family. So I think that's why he's come here a few years, is because he's not only a very talented carver, but the tree that he carved was representing his father and the love that he gave to the family and the lessons he taught. So we're very lucky to have it.
I just did the carving, or not a carving, but a clay model of it back in 2012, I think. And yeah, I always just wanted to sort of make it bigger, make it life size. So, you know, and it was one of those things that was my plan to do at the US Open years ago, my first international competition, and I got sort of swayed by other carvers, and they said, no, you got to make it tall, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. I was like, oh, okay, that's it. But it just didn't pull off the same, so I wanted to do it justice. Spiritual world and nature, sort of the link between those. You know, she's going to be naked and, you know, quite sort of vulnerable, that sort of thing. Whereas a wolf, you know, like it's signifying nature and, you know, it's wild and dangerous and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's kind of the gist. Doing female form is always difficult, human form, but female form especially. And I think that, yeah, you know, dodging around this, I've got a big pocket right through the centre of it. So I had to put a whole new section in through her midriff, and that was a bit of a challenge, getting that nice and tight and You know, the join's all nice.
What would a top 3 finish mean to you?
Oh, look, it'll be very nice. It means I get to come back. Automatic invite's always nice. But yeah, look, I've placed second and third here, so look, it's tough. I mean, the guys who are here are just phenomenal. You know, I wouldn't want to be a judge.
I think that this one is one of, if not the biggest. There's, you know, the Husky Cup in Germany, the Uzu Cup, and there's a few big ones in the States, but I mean, I'm from Canada, so yeah, this is the best one in the world, man. We're in BC, my hometown, my home province. I am doing Poseidon. Poseidon, who's going to be fighting the Kraken. Last year's piece was so grimly complicated, and it was just so dark and emotionally draining that this year I wanted to have fun, and I did the Poseidon once before, but I wanted to kind of make some improvements on it, and I just thought it was a really fun piece and think it will score well. So the lines and the balance in this piece have been the toughest so far. Like, looking behind me, you can see kind of all the weight is kind of distributed onto that fin, and I'm going to try and push it as far as I can go, and then just getting nice, clean, flowing lines, and then being able to do human proportion in amongst a Greek god. So he's going to be ripped and jacked, and it overall is just a pretty tough piece. Lots of movement, lots of motion.
You ever try and keep in mind what the judges are looking for sometimes, or no?
100%. It's the only reason I'm carving that. I mean, I've done it before, and I know it scored well when I did it before. And this year, you know, I really want to try and place high. I want to place.
What would a top 3 finish mean to you?
Well, you probably see me cry, and it'd be probably one of the best moments of my life. I mean, all the carvers that come here are the best in the world, and idols, mentors, friends, and to place in amongst them would be, for me, it'd be one of the best feelings of my life.
I'm trying to manipulate the wood to create a charging bison, buffalo. And it's not a water buffalo, but a wild buffalo from North America. So it's always been on my mind to do one. I've never done one before. Probably wouldn't have tackled it without Liam Tromans from Vancouver Island came up to assist me, so pretty grateful for that, and Chetwynd Petroleums. So yeah,
how's Liam helping you out with this piece?
Well, he's making certain all my saws are ready to go. All the assistants are able to do or just basically do sanding, and we're not at that stage yet, so he's going up and above Call of Duty, and he's taking care of all the chainsaws and making sure the place is nice and clean of debris, and making some sales himself.
What do you think of the event so far?
Oh, cool. Glad to be here. Yeah, all these great artists from around the world. It's awesome.
Liam's been carving for 18 years himself, so he's no amateur. He's not new to this, so it's all good.
In July, it'll be 2 years full time though. It's always like just a little bit here and there.
So, what would a top 3 finish mean to you here?
Are you kidding? It's since I started carving it. and then I came here 4 years ago. I didn't realize the caliber of the carving, so I was rather ignorant to other people's styles and what have you. But now that I've been here and I've met some of the best carvers in the world, yeah, it would be, well, the pinnacle of my career. There's no doubt about that. So you know, I'd be grateful if it ever happens, you know, in my lifetime. So.
Oh my God. Here's the boy. Here he is, newly born.
International carvers are always a big hit at this competition, but even with many years of experience under their belt, there are several disadvantages that they have to face while carving here.
Well, they're at a huge disadvantage. First of all, the time zone is way different. They had to fly in, they got jet lag, and sometimes that takes 2-3 days. Sometimes it's a day. It depends on the person, and it affects everybody differently. The other thing is they're using tools they've never used before. Everything's different. Even if they bring their own bars and chains, the saws don't run the same as your saw. Your saw feels different than the same model saw. Just everything feels different. They're looking for tools. They're using different tools. They're at a huge different disadvantage. I think that the European carvers have to work twice as hard just to do half as nice of a carving, because it's almost like they're working with their hands tied.
Some of the challenges that the international carvers have, they have different equipment. For example, our chainsaws, we have the trigger in the handle, and you hold the top handle, whereas the Irish guys were telling me last night they had to completely change their way of carving because they have the trigger up here on the top, and so they're used to carving with their right hand. Now they have to carve with their left hand, and they've adjusted and actually prefer it. So, but those are challenges that they have, and especially the glues. They're not familiar with the glues, so I had to let them know you got to add water for the catalyst. Just those things we got to take care of for the international carvers.
You know, like a guy coming from Europe, used to carving a little harder wood. He gets into the cedar, when the saw just dives in there, and right away you're like, whoa, you know. So you have to adapt.
I suppose just the initial cutting, the getting rid of the big stuff was kind of a little bit nerve-wracking, but once we got the saws going, you started to see a bit of shape. I suppose the time difference was the big thing. I started to die at about 3 o'clock. Like, I could feel the energy going because we'd normally be asleep. So yeah, that was kind of strange, that kind of funny feeling. But yeah, you still don't know if you're going to, you know, you don't think you have enough time. So it's like, come on, keep pushing. So yeah, well, we're getting there. Yeah, we got the head today, and I got all the teeth in and everything, so I'm happy. Well, the story is about a young boy that takes on the hound, and what it was he was called Satanta, and he was an Irish warrior, and he was kind of, at a young age, he was renowned for being like a talented kind of, he's going to be a really good kid like. So the king asked him to come and visit him at the castle. He wanted to talk to him, and but like being any boy, he started playing hurling, which is an Irish game with sticks and a ball. A bit like hockey and stuff, but in a field. But he started playing with his friend, and so he was late getting to the castle, and the hound had been left out into the courtyard. So when he got there, the hound confronted him, and in panic he hit the ball down the hound's throat and killed him. But what he didn't realise was the hound was only protecting his 2 pups. So the king came out, and Mother Nature spoke to him and said that, like, you need to rear these pups now, and he became the hound, Cuchulainn. And he became the guardian of the King of Ireland, and that's what the story is about. It's about a little boy becoming a man and taking responsibility for something that he done, you know. And that's it. That's the story of Cú Chulainn. Yeah. It was intricate, just getting in around it and trying to do the back of the tongue and the tonsils and all that stuff. So, you know, I still have a bit more work to do on him, but at least I got the head fitted and I got the tail fitted, so I can see him now. I can see the hound. So, tomorrow now I'm hoping to get the little Cú Chulainn done, Satanta. So if I can get him set up, then we're starting to see the whole scene then. So yeah, but so that's what it's about.
You know, you'll get some competitions that'll have cedar, but typically, like here it's cedar, Malda you're looking at like oak, and in the US it's a lot of white pine.
Is there any advantages to working with cedar or disadvantages?
You know, cedar is probably, you know, that's one of the big draws here, the size of the cedar that you get here. Not too many carvers get this size of wood ever to work on. So I think that's a huge draw here. Plus, cedar, you really don't have to do anything to it to make it look beautiful. It's just such a beautiful wood, and you can do a bad carving in cedar and it looks good.
People were sort of having a laugh at me because I started at the bottom and worked up, whereas it's mostly common to start at the top and work down. So, but I had to get that tortoise in the right place. It was going to take up the whole width of the log, so that was the obvious place to start, and then once I'd got him, work up. So yeah, a little bit unusual. I like pieces that are that make you think about either the environment or nature or human rights or things like that that are important to me, and but I like to have a piece that's not too serious, not too grim and depressing, but like has a playful nature to it as well. So the buildings appeal to the kids, you know, they get peering in the windows, and you know, they have a kind of whimsical magicalness to them that appeals to everyone. So it's, yeah. It's basically a giant tortoise climbing up a small slope, and then there's houses, buildings, which is kind of my trademark, sort of these hickledy-pickledy buildings towering up, the skyscrapers at the top, working down to kind of expensive housing, and then slums at the bottom. So it kind of represents a city, and it's representing humanity itself. So it's like humanity, a civilization that's being supported by nature.
He said the tortoise is the longest living land animal, and the tortoise represents nature, and the tortoise is looking back on the houses that are about to topple, and they're all overcrowded, and we are putting such a burden on nature to sustain the planet. So what his real message is there is how are we going to survive when we are totally pushing nature to support us and to its limits.
International or not, each carver has his or her own style, which means every carving will require specific techniques and obstacles to overcome.
They're all great, they really are. Everybody's got something that just makes their piece pop. I mean, Jason Emmons, he added a bunch of leaves all over his piece, that's pretty cool. Jeff's over there working on Lady Gaga playing the piano, I mean, that's awesome. The little city on the back of the turtle, that's crazy. Taco's piece with the animals, I mean, they're all great, they really are. This one here, teeter-totter.
When people look at this carving, what do you want them to think?
I want them to think about how this world has, I think, kind of changed for the worst, and with the Four Horsemen in Revelation, I think that's going to kind of open people's eyes a little bit. At least I hope. So get people thinking about things. Everything's going crazy, a lot of wars, and just school shootings, all that stuff. So I don't know. This is just what I kind of foresee in the future. Maybe if people just open the Bible and read it a little bit.
The degree of difficulty is also very much related to the design, because Jason Stoner's work, for example, he literally cut a few pieces off it, and then he had 4 horsemen and 4 horses twirled around one central theme. That's extremely difficult to pull off, and he did.
There's so many pieces. I got the bow, I got the sword, and then I have scales made. I gotta fit them in, and the scales are gonna they're just gonna get in the way of the whole movement of the horse and rider. So, but I gotta have it. So it's just, I don't know. I'm tired. Yeah. Well, by burning it does actually give like some highlights and shadow effects, and darkens the horse. That's the black horse, and the rider. And then just deeper areas of the sculpture, it just gets in there and just makes it look better. I'll go back over tomorrow and sand it. But yeah, it's basically for that shadow effect.
I enjoy coming down, seeing it from the very start when they get their logs, and just watching how it changes and try and guess what it's going to be and all that stuff. And it's just amazing how it changes over a matter of hours. It's amazing how it changes, and it's just incredible what they can do with wood.
I wanted to go with more of a nature theme this year, and eagles, I guess, have always enjoyed carving them. And got the wolf, and more or less what it is the eagle and the wolf are both going after that rabbit, and they're both pretty much botching their hunt because they're not paying attention to each other.
When people look at this carving, what do you want them to think?
I like them to feel the emotion of the eagle with the outstretched wings. I guess the focus of the wolf, and then you got the poor little bunny there that he's kind of helpless. Getting to the final stages now. What I did was wanted to add a little bit of height to it, so I ended up cutting it off, attaching a higher piece, and then it was easier to work on, on the ground rather than doing everything overhead. But, it's coming together. Final stages.
This year, the spectators' attention seems to be fixed on Takeo Hayashi, Raimondas Ustraves, and Jeff Sabulsky. Does this mean they'll walk away with the top spot? Maybe. Maybe not.
I like the hippo, and even though my buddy here carved the moose last year, I bought off of him, I still have to go with the hippo this year.
What do you like about it?
I just like it's different. It's completely different from what we've seen up here. We don't see a lot of that African type things. It's all eagles, bears, and it's all that kind of stuff. So that's just unique this year, so that's why I'm voting for it this year.
What are you carving?
Yeah, I carve hippo and rhino. Yeah.
Why?
My son favorite animal.
What's your favorite animal?
Yeah, same. Yeah, hippo and rhino.
Is this difficult? Is it hard?
Yeah, little bit difficult for me. Yeah. Faces or very different type. Yeah.
We enjoy camping too, so and then this is something to do, eh?
That's a carve dance.
Okay.
Kas palyginta, ne, kas geresnis, ar Da Vincis, ar Van Gogas, ar Salvadoras Dalí, ar Picasso.
Yeah, he says no, it's just all of them are so amazing that it's impossible to even compare. It's the same if you would compare like Salvador Dalí, Da Vinci, Van Gogh, all of them, it's impossible to compare. So it's the same because all the styles are different and all of the works are just amazing. Yeah.
What do you want people to think when they look at your car?
Ką norėtum, kad žmonės galvotų, kai jie pasižiūri į tavo skulptūrą?
Kad galvotų, kad būtų smagu pasisukti.
He would like them to think that, oh, it's gonna be a nice swing for us, you know? Yeah.
Teisingai apskaičiuot visą realio judėjimą.
To count everything right, how the eagle is gonna move. Yeah.
How important is it for you to have your daughter here with you?
Ar tau buvo svarbu savo dukterį atsivežti ir kodėl?
Jo, nes man jį labai daug padėjo ir ypatingai kaip vertėja, nes man būna dažnai sunku suprasti organizacinius dalykus, nes mano anglų kalba yra labai silpna.
He says, yes, she helped me a lot, especially as a translator, because I don't speak English well and it's hard to understand all the, rules and everything, so she helped me a lot with it.
He's an exceptional carver from the States, but his story in particular was that he told me he realized how judgmental he was when he had always thought Lady Gaga was just a freak of nature and just silly and disregarded her. And then all of a sudden he heard an interview by Howard Stern and he learned that she's classically trained. She's had incredible history of abuse and difficulty. Her family have struggled and she is in fact an amazing person and her voice is like an angel. And suddenly he learned that the person he had just disregarded is exceptional. And then he started to look more into her history and he chose to do Lady Gaga because he wanted to show what he felt about her.
Well, I was thinking long and hard for the last bunch of months of what I could do that no one's ever done or seen before up at Chetwynd, and I came up with, I was listening to Howard Stern, and I was listening to Lady Gaga in studio, and she just played some of the most rawest, best piano I've ever heard, and so I said, that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm going to actually try to carve Lady Gaga playing a piano.
It's an important, almost confession of, she changed me. And so he wanted to honor her in a way by having her at Chetwynd and saying, wow, she's exceptional. She's not someone who just messes around in fancy outfits. She's an educated person to be respected.
Human figure is very difficult to capture someone and make it look like somebody in particular, and then to make it her interact with the piano, her feet on the foot pegs, you know, on the foot pedals, I'm sorry, and then their hands on the keys, and to have her look like she's singing all in one. So the whole thing is going to be quite the challenge. Oh heck, everybody wants to be in the top 3, but just to be here, I'm happy. If I could pull it off and have it look somewhat like a woman, even Gaga, that would be great. As long as it doesn't look like Herman Munster, I think I've done my job.
Look in my eyes and hold me tight.
Time has finally run out, and the judges have had time to talk and make their rounds through the carvings. It's time to find out who will win the Carver's Choice Award, the People's Choice Award, and the top 3 spots for this year's competition.
So Carver's Choice wins $500 and People's Choice wins $1,000. So this year's People's Choice goes to log number 12, Ryan Cook. Okay, this year's Carver's Choice, this has happened twice, this year and last year. There's always been a tie. So this year they had to break the tie, and I would like to give the Carver's Choice to Dan Cordell. So this year, 3rd place is sponsored by Canuma Coal, so I would like Mark to come up from Canuma Coal to present this. Gives me great pleasure to welcome Takeo Hohashi, 3rd place.
Place went to Takeo Hayashi from Japan, who produced, as usual, one of the most happiest carvings of a lovely hippo and rhino with the arms intertwined, with the meerkats in front with their arms intertwined, and the aardvark behind hiding and sleeping and feeling secure. The detail in his carvings, I mean, he's a master, and you see him carve, and he's a wizard. He's an absolute wizard. So I feel our top 3 are exceptional. He also said the story behind it is he wants happiness and he wants people to look at his carvings and feel good. And that's exactly what you do.
2nd place, if I could have Black Diamond Group, Craig Carter, to come up to present the resort award. Ready, gentlemen? And this year's lucky recipient is Chad Danzig.
The number 2 carving this year is by Chad Danzig, and he did an eagle, and it's called Focus, and that eagle is spectacular. If the photograph of it, actually at night someone took a photo and it looked like a real eagle swooping in. The craftsmanship is superb. The accuracy to the eagle and the bunny and the wolf is incredible, and everything Chad does is very detailed and very professional. And we're really happy with the piece, and I'm hoping he's happy that he placed second.
So this year's winner of the 2008 Carving Championship is Jeff Samendowski. He won for Lady Gaga on the piano, Joanne.
The uniqueness, the story behind it, the way he crafted it, he gained the first, he's the champion this year, he won first place. Everything about that piece is unique.
I could nitpick that thing all day, but we had 35 hours or something like that, and I was just happy to get it to the level of completion that we did. I started off wanting to do exactly what I did, and I completed it, so I'm happy.
The Chetwynd International Chainsaw Carving Championship has been a staple in this community for 14 years now, and has left us with about 190 carvings to display around town. We've also had the pleasure of presenting them as gifts to our neighboring communities. Although, more importantly, this competition has left us with an excuse for people around the world to come and explore a town full of dreams come true.